How many in here were ever a Girl Scout? Or a mother of a Girl Scout? My daughter was a fourth generation Girl Scout. And there's not a lot of opportunities to have something span a family for that many generations. This is not an easy topic, and it's certainly not an easy topic to share with others. But I believe that there are so many who don't know, as I didn't know. And my attempt is to just help families and clergy and churches make an informed decision about what it is we're signing little girls up for. And so with that, it's all documented, and everything you're going to see here today is documented from Girl Scouts' own materials. And there are links here, and I actually have a handout for everybody, which you can go to my website and you can click every link that I show you today. And it will take you directly to your local council here in Oregon, or Girl Scouts USA, or the International Scouting Group. And every girl is counted in every membership level. And so it's important to know when these girls put these vests on exactly what it is they're representing and what they're funding and what they're a member of. And most of these will be easier to see, but the first thing I want to be real clear about is I'm from Missouri, and a lot of times this is a topic that's coming up across the country. And so my own particular council will tell people they distance themselves from the national and international organization and say, oh, we do our own thing. We're an autonomous organization. If you look at the registration form, and this is from your local Oregon Council, it says that return this registration form along with the GSUSA membership fees. So when a girl signs up to be a Girl Scout here in Oregon, she's signing up to be a member of that national GSUSA organization, and her membership fee goes entirely to the national organization. So we're going to first talk about Girl Scout memberships and partnerships. And I got to tell you, we've got 50 minutes and I'm going to fly through some of this if I can. But I will tell you that the examples I share with you today are just the tip of the iceberg. For everything I show you here today, I could show you 5 more just like it. So if you want to see more or you want to see this for yourself, please do go to mygirlscoutcouncil.com where you can see these examples and more. Girl Scouts and the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, which is the acronym and what we commonly refer to as WAGs. This is the pin here, and from time to time, I will hold up my own daughter's vest. She was a Girl Scout for grades 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, and she was invited from our local Catholic parish. We started 1st grade, we had our back to school mass, we got our back to school packet, and in that packet was an invitation to become a brownie through our parish. And I didn't give it a second thought. I had been a Girl Scout. I wanted this for my daughter. It was coming from my parish. I didn't think I needed to check. And it's been a really valuable parenting lesson for myself to do my own homework. I should have done that. I didn't do it. And so for 3 years, she did a lot. And she did a lot of great things. I'm not going to tell you that everything with the Girl Scouts is bad, because it's not. There's so much that's good about the organization. And the troop leaders, who are the boots on the ground, the volunteers, they're typically great women. And if my daughter could have just been a member of her troop, she'd probably still be a Girl Scout, because she learned a lot. She had a lot of fun. She did service projects. She earned religious awards. But it didn't stop there. And so when I became aware after 3 years about some things going on at higher levels, we decided to pull her out. And I have to be real honest, as much as I'm here halfway across the country today, I didn't say anything to anybody for 2 years. We told our daughter, and she was only 10 at the time, and we just said there are some things in the organization that conflict with the pro-life message that we're trying to instill in our own children. And I have 4, and she was my oldest. We kept it in very simple terms for her. And we simply told our troop leader, who was a friend and a good woman, we said, we're too busy. which is kind of true. When you have 4 young kids and they're doing all kinds of activities, you don't want to know what my husband's schedule looks like today. I hope he's still speaking to me when I get home. I hope he's still standing. But I sat on it because I didn't want to make waves, and I didn't want to seem to judge. And so in 2012, that was in 2010, in 2012, I even still was buying the cookies. And then cookie season came along, and I looked a little bit more, and I was astounded. I had pulled my own daughter out for one event, and when I looked again 2 years later, I couldn't believe how much more there was. And so I sent an email to a dozen family and friends, and it went a little crazy. I actually ended up meeting with my bishop, who I did not send the email to. But there's a hunger, I think, in our country today among certain people to learn, to be informed, to make those decisions for our families, and so that's what this is about. So anyways, really why I pointed this out for my daughter is here she is with her little WAGS pin on her vest. Well, okay. So Missouri is the show me state, and I'm I gotta see it to believe it kind of person. And so if you go to Girl Scouts' own website today, they will tell you that Girl Scouts of the USA makes up about 1/3 of the total of WAGs. They'll also tell you on their website that WAGs is the official umbrella organization for all 145 national Girl Guide and Girl Scout organizations in the world, and has a membership of 10 million girls. Wow. And we make up 1/3 of that. For little girls, the littlest girls are daisies in kindergarten and first grade. And in the leadership book that the volunteer leaders get, they are recommended to tell the little girls that they can receive the World Trefoil Pin, which symbolizes that they are members of WAGs. So that's the pin that my daughter has on her vest. WAGs also confirms that girls are members of WAGs, saying that anyone who is a Girl Guide or a Girl Scout is automatically a member of WAGs. And on their Facebook page, they say that they represent 10 million Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. Now, why am I hitting you over the head with this? Because Girl Scouts USA today says that girls are not members of WAGs. If you call and say, I have concerns, they say, oh no, they are not members of WAGs. But their website says they are. WAGs says that they are. They're wearing the membership pin. And there's money involved, as there always seems to be. WAGs assessed as a quota based on the number of members each organization claims. This amount that GSUSA pays to WAGs is $1.5 million annually. So the more girls are Girl Scouts, the more money GSUSA sends to WAGs. And my own council, we've had several meetings in Missouri, and GSUSA was a part of a couple of those meetings. And they said that GSUSA has no intention of disassociating with WAGs. So that's not an option. In fact, GSUSA was one of the founding members of WAGs back in 1912. Here are just a couple of, again, with the Show Me State theme. These are some tax forms. And I don't usually go back past 2012, but in 2007 you can see on GSUSA's tax forms that they specifically said that they were giving $1.8 million to the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts. They changed their terminology. Now they don't specifically call out WAGs. They call it a payment to their affiliate. And this is the most recent in 2011 of $1.5 million. Why is it such a big deal that the girls are counted in the membership of WAGs? Because WAGs advocates for many issues of concern, including abortion on demand and contraception, and all in the name of their 10 million girl members. Here is on WAGs' website, these are some of the goals and recommendations they have for girls. They want to rapidly improve the status of the girl child in education and training, especially on sexual and reproductive health and rights. They also have curriculum of their own, which any Girl Scout around the world may earn. This is a sample activity for their AIDS curriculum badge, where they recommend that girls visit one of the places in your community where young women can go for health care related to pregnancy prevention and treatment of sexually transmitted diseases. Girls can invite a counselor from this agency to include the following activities: show how condoms prevent pregnancy, use fingers or another suitable object to demonstrate how to use a condom properly. Not an activity I learned when I was in Girl Scouts. And I'm not saying that this is a regular badge choice for girls, but it's an option. And it's an option for girls. This is not, we have this memory of camping and creating your sit-upons and the badges. To think that you can earn a badge by learning about how to properly use a condom and pregnancy prevention is not in keeping with, I think, the general perception that we have of this organization. Here's another resource that is on the WAG's website. It's entitled "Sex is Love, Do It Safely. Don't Be Silly, Wrap Your Willy." And it shows girls how they can and cannot protect themselves. So having sexual intercourse with a condom can help prevent HIV. You can also, one of the other suggestions is that you can be safe by participating in mutual masturbation. So are all girls participating in this? No. But is this an option? Are they a member of this? Are they funding this organization? Are they representing it when they have their vest on and they're wearing that pin? And do they even know? Because I didn't know. To think that a 6-year-old was wearing this and going around town with, this WAG's pin on there is just still very difficult for me as a parent to think about. WAGS regularly advocates for abortion and sexual and reproductive health and rights. In 2010, they often go to international meetings and conferences. And in 2010, they participated in the UN Commission on the Status of Women. On their website, they say that their delegates demand access to comprehensive sexuality information, services, and supplies for all young people. And they think that sexual and reproductive health services should, at a minimum, be accessible, affordable, and safe. Now, I'm going to be real fair here. This was in 2010, and I don't know if anybody was aware this past cookie season, there was a national attempt at a cookie cut. And it got, especially in pro-life circles, it really, it got some attention. And so this page was scrubbed from WAGS's website. So I want to be fair and say they did take it down. It doesn't mean they didn't advocate for it. It doesn't mean that they had it up for 4 years. And then when it got some attention, they decided to remove it. But that has been removed in the last couple of months. But the advocacy continues. Just 2 weeks ago, they went again to the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women. And their delegates said that today I represent the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, and we ask for universal access to health services which are non-judgmental, confidential, and evidence-based, including sexual and reproductive health and rights. So they may have taken that page down from 4 years ago, but the behavior hasn't changed. The demands haven't changed. It's not just at the Commission on the Status of Women. This is a climate change event that they attend every year. It's called Rio 20. And this is one of their key messages: supporting comprehensive sexuality education programs and universal access to reproductive health services as part of a holistic approach to sustainable development. What? No. Climate change, we're going to help the climate. We're going to help by population control, exactly. And while they were there, they were blogging about this event. And actually, along with their delegates, there were adults with them. The World Board Chair of WAGS actually attended. And she said that the WAGS delegates at Rio 20 represented each one of our WAGS members, you, in this process. And then said, our lobbying on gender equality and sexual and reproductive health rights unfortunately did not result in text amendments. So while they're representing 10 million girls asking for this, it was not successful. And the reason it wasn't successful at this particular event was because it was blocked by one country who teamed up with the Vatican. And so I know not everyone in this room is Catholic. I happen to be. But it's not lost on me that here is this group asking for these rights, demanding these rights, and the voice in opposition to it is my church. Right. So WAGS served on a steering committee with the International Planned Parenthood Federation at an event called the Bali Global Youth Forum in December of 2012. So this was a big event, a worldwide event for youth. And it was 3 or 4 days in December. And the steering committee, WAGS was a part of the steering committee to help plan the event. They planned it with the International Planned Parenthood Federation, with the Indonesian Planned Parenthood Association, and there you have WAGS. You also have several groups on there, Research, Y Peer, different groups that are focused only on sexual and reproductive rights. And they say that we are proud to share that WAGS will be supporting the Global Youth Forum as a member of the steering committee. While they were there, they weren't just on the steering committee. They, of course, sent girls there to represent the organization. And these girls led workshops like we're having today. They were the note takers. They helped to facilitate these workshops to help to put together an outcome statement. Here is one of the young ladies saying that while she's there, she's looking forward to seeing a panel of inspiring people advocating for the issues of gender equality, sexual and reproductive health and rights, and youth issues in the process that will shape the development agenda beyond the Millennial Development Goals. Here are some of the excerpts from that Bali Youth Declaration. It's about 20 pages, and there's lots of good things in there. It's kind of like the Girl Scouts. There's lots of good things, but they always seem to continue to stick this part in that not everybody's on the same page with. For instance, it demands decriminalization of abortion and elimination of parental consent, waiting periods, and age of consent requirements for underage abortions. Also, for the development of comprehensive sexuality education in partnership with young people that includes information on sexual orientation and gender identities that is free of religious intolerance. And finally, the decriminalization of sex work and the elimination of mandatory medical checks, especially mandatory HIV, in the fulfillment of the rights of all young people to decent employment. So we're going to decriminalize sex work to make it an option for decent employment. I just don't get it. All the good things that you can advocate for, clean water, education in the classroom, vaccinations, mosquito nets to prevent malaria. There are so many opportunities that everybody could get behind. But when you continue to add these things in, you're eliminating a significant amount of the population who just has, this just is not in keeping with the values. Not only was WAGS involved in the beginning, the middle, and the end, but they actually posted that outcome statement on their website and encouraged all their 10 million members to read, share, and disseminate the declaration, and said that you can download a copy of the outcome statement to see what over 3,000 youth decided as the biggest priorities. WAGS delegates will now work with their member organizations, governments, and others in their countries to advocate for that to become a reality. Just last year, WAGS also sent delegates to a convention entitled Women Deliver. One of the session themes for the entire conference was safe and legal abortion. Here are 3 of the young ladies that represented their 10 million members. One says that she has been involved in advocacy and lobbying for integration of youth needs, especially regarding the importance of non-formal education and sexual and reproductive rights. Another says that she focused on sexual and reproductive rights and health as a WAGS delegate. And another said that she's worked with several young girls and women who may need to be educated in reproductive health, self-development, and empowerment. So these are the girls out of 10 million girls, and you have all kinds of girls applying to be delegates. These are the girls that they're choosing to represent their members, and they're proud of it. This is the biography that these girls are turning in and then publicizing. While they were there, WAGS was also again involved in the Youth Steering Committee. And lo and behold, other organizations that were elbow to elbow with them included the International Planned Parenthood Federation and the Planned Parenthood Federation of America. And there you have WAGS, as always, talking about their 10 million members. Here's some of the events that the girl delegates could attend while they were there. They could go to a session on adolescent and youth sexual and reproductive rights, or they could go see what the new medical abortion looks like. They could go to an event called Delivering Choice and Rights, how Marie Stopes International reaches around the world. They could also go see Saving Lives and Respecting Rights, disseminating the WHO Safe Abortion Guidance, or they could see the Guttmacher Institute's movie, Abortion Worldwide. And did the delegates attend these kinds of events? They sure did. Here is a delegate for WAGS who's 16 years old and says that she started her morning by attending a session about the sexual and reproductive rights for youth. So WAGS is the big one, but there are other groups that Girl Scouts of the USA is involved in and involves their members in. They're also a member of an organization called the Coalition for Adolescent Girls. And like many organizations that we talk about, this organization works to achieve many laudable goals, but part of its mission is to make contraception and abortion services available to girls. Here they are listed as a member. Here we have Marie Stopes additionally. And here's the agenda by the Coalition for Adolescent Girls, that they should include family planning, nutrition, and abortion-related care, and says that girls should have access to a full range of sexual and reproductive health services and supports. I want to mention some examples from the Girl Scouts curriculum and available materials as well. Because sometimes people will say to me, that WAGS thing, it's so far away, it's so far removed from the girls. Not when they're funding it, and not when they're representing it. But sometimes people want to see what's in the hands of the girls, what's being specifically directed at them. And so here are some examples. In their print materials, they have a curriculum series for girls from kindergarten through high school. It's called the Journey series. And throughout the curriculum, there are recommendations and promotions of organizations and role models who advocate for abortion rights, promote LGBT rights, and demand sexual and reproductive rights for youth. A girl must work from these books in order to achieve the highest awards. So they have the bronze, silver, and gold awards. It's similar to the Boy Scouts Eagle Scout Award. You have to use the curriculum to earn the awards. So this isn't really an optional, we're going to steer away from that. And every local council, including Oregon's council, sells, uses, and promotes this to the girls. Here are just some of the women and organizations highlighted in the Journeys program. You have Gloria Steinem, who's actually in the book thanked for her visionary contributions as a women's rights activist. You have Elizabeth Gurley Flynn, who's the founder of the ACLU. Simone de Beauvoir, who was a philosopher and author, hailed as the founder of feminism. She actually signed a public list of famous women who had abortions. Dolores Huerta is a prominent Catholic supporter of abortion rights and a vocal opponent to the California parental consent proposition. If any of you followed more recently in the last elections in November, in New Mexico, they were trying to put a restriction on abortion rights at 20 weeks. Dolores Huerta came in from California to do numerous radio ads in opposition to that. And in it, talks about herself being a Catholic mother of 11 who doesn't want to see abortion rights restricted. Betty Friedan, who's the founder of NARAL and NOW, she's actually listed as a voice for good in the Girl Scout curriculum, specifically for the National Organization of Women and her book, The Feminine Mystique, both of which take public platforms supporting abortion rights. Betty Friedan was on the board of the Girl Scouts for 12 years. from 1970 until 1982. You have Martina Navratilova, who was a champion tennis player, but also a prominent lesbian who promotes gay and lesbian rights. And Geraldine Ferraro, a pro-choice Catholic vice presidential candidate. So here's my thing about these women and these organizations we'll look at in a minute. We have so many great women to look to in our country. And when you consider, there are lots of women promoted in the Girl Scout curriculum. And many of them don't take a public position on abortion or sexuality. But why the preponderance of so many women who do? We can't find women to look up to and want our girls to emulate that don't take a position for abortion. There's one woman in their entire curriculum series that takes a public pro-life position that they mention, and it's Mother Teresa. So you have Mother Teresa, you have a bunch of names in the middle, and then you have all these women who take this public position supporting abortion rights. And you're holding them up to the girls as voices for good. Now, Girl Scouts will say, well, we didn't single that out. If you're holding up a woman as a voice for good and encouraging the girls to look to these women as role models, knowing that girls can then go and find this information, it's not acceptable. This organization says they don't take a position on abortion, on birth control, and on human sexuality. And I will challenge you. I will challenge Girl Scouts and say, that's not good enough. You claim to be an organization that builds girls of character, and you don't take a position on abortion? I've got a 12-year-old, and I'm telling you right now, I want her character to be formed to take a position. And having her use these books and go to their online resources and see woman after woman after woman highlighted who takes these positions does not honor the statement that they trot out to people. Their words do not match their actions. This picture is not in the book. But if you're going to thank Gloria Steinem for being a visionary contribution, making visionary contributions as a women's rights activist, and a girl wants to find out what are those contributions, this is who they're talking about. This is what they can find. The books over and over and over remind the girls that they're members of WAGs. They link them to the website. We've seen some of the resources on their website. Go to WAGs. Look what you can find just a few slides back. Look at some of the things they can find on the website. Here's some other organizations in addition to WAGs that they promote. The Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure, Amnesty International, which advocates for sexual and reproductive rights and seeks to decriminalize abortion in all countries that outlaw it, the Population Council, which works to increase access to safe abortions, Oxfam, which promotes access to family planning services, including contraception and proper abortion facilities, and the ACLU, which is currently advocating for reproductive freedom, same-sex marriages, and the HHS mandate. How many organizations do they have in their curriculum that takes a public pro-life position? None. And if it was just, they're smart. It's a little bit sprinkled here and a little bit sprinkled there. So for instance, with the ACLU, it says, if you're interested in advocacy, perhaps you'd like to consider the following careers. And they list social worker, politician, lawyer, like for the ACLU. Why are we having such a leading conversation with that? You can't simply say you might want to consider being a lawyer, maybe and do some pro bono work. Why even put that in there to mention the ACLU? Here's some other websites that are included in the curriculum. DoSomething.org, which features the history of Planned Parenthood founder Margaret Sanger and links the girls to the Guttmacher Institute. Idealist.org connects girls with many kinds of jobs, but some of those jobs include volunteer positions at Planned Parenthood and other concerning groups like Spread, a quarterly glossy magazine by and for sex workers and those who support their rights. Now, when I have done this in St. Louis with my local council CEO and actually a priest. I did it at a parish. And at the end of the presentation, he said to the CEO, Do you dispute any of the documentation that Ann had? And my CEO's response was, gosh, Ann, you've sure done your homework. And I said, gosh, Bonnie, why didn't you do yours? You are the CEO of a corporation. I sit in my desk in my kitchen. My assistant is my 2-year-old, and I'm not even kidding. I don't have a staff. I don't have a title. I don't have any letters behind my name. I'm a stay-at-home mom when I'm not driving my kids around to activities. If I can find this stuff, why can't they? Because they, to put a curriculum together, I was a teacher before I had kids. That doesn't just happen overnight. They're either not doing their homework or they are and they don't care. And neither one of those is acceptable for my girls. Your own local council last year had their inaugural Women of Distinction Award, and they awarded it to 2 women. So they took 2 women they wanted to honor as women of distinction. Here are the 2 women that they chose. Your Attorney General, Ellen Rosenblum, and your former Governor, Barbara Roberts. I'm assuming you'll be a little more familiar with this research than I am, but they didn't look like really great to me. It's my understanding that Barbara Roberts is a big proponent of euthanasia. Am I getting nodding? Okay. And of course, an abortion. And she is actually listed on Emily's list as a successful woman that they helped elect. And is a big proponent, my understanding is, for same-sex marriage as well. And your current Attorney General, Ellen Rosenblum, is also listed proudly on Emily's list, which is an organization that seeks to elect pro-choice women. And she says, I am 100% pro-choice, and I am proud to be supported by NARAL Pro-Choice Oregon as well. And my understanding is that just a few weeks ago, she said that Oregon would not that she would not defend Oregon for the
one man, one woman.
Thank you. Yes. So these are the 2 women that they chose. Women of distinction. A council who's honoring and celebrating these women. And again, holding up these women to the girls. On the website, GSUSA and GSOSW websites promote concerning activities, awards, and links. They encourage, your local council encourages girls to participate in the Juliet Lowe World Friendship Fund to make a financial donation. Juliet Lowe was the founder of Girl Scouts. That fund provides international travel scholarships and seed funding to girls and young women who participate in WAG's leadership activities. Well, we've seen some of those leadership activities. Here is your local council being listed as making financial contributions to that fund. This is actually from my council. And because sometimes they think, oh, these girls aren't really giving to this. Well, there's an activity every year called the World Thinking Day. And it's a big event that's promoted by all councils. And in conjunction with that, girls are often asked to include in their celebration a financial contribution to the Juliet Lowe World Friendship Fund. My own council takes it a step further and has a specific patch for that. And girls can choose from a number of activities. They don't have to do all of them. They can learn to say thank you in 4 languages, create a holiday with international customs, pretty neat, normal stuff. But they must find out about the Juliet Lowe World Friendship Fund and make a contribution. And the girls can earn this every year. And next to the patches of Christmas caroling and ice skating and service projects is my daughter making a financial contribution every year. And I've been giving this presentation for a year and a half, and it chokes me up every time. We can all see I'm not very good at sewing. I actually hot glued most of these. But I was really proud of this. And this is still a bittersweet remembrance for me because it represents a lot of good and a lot of fun. But I can't help looking at that and realizing that I facilitated her financial contributions to this organization. And it's still a little mom guilt that maybe I'll do enough of these where I'll get over that. I don't know. Girls are encouraged by your local council to travel to the WAGS World Centers. They have 4 of them around the globe. And while they're there, members of Girl Scouts USA are encouraged to visit the centers and learn about leadership and advocacy. You'll have access to workshops and training on global topics such as leadership, advocacy, and community action. Social media. Girl Scouts' official social media accounts can be accessed from the bottom of every Girl Scout USA website page. So they have live links to Facebook, to Twitter, to Pinterest, all those things. Your own council will tell everybody that connect with Girl Scouts of the USA and then also gives them direct links to Facebook, to Twitter, to Pinterest. Here are some of the things that girls can find there. Last year, the CEO of the GSUSA participated in an online documentary entitled Makers, Women Who Make America. It highlighted women over the past 40 years who have helped women rise to new heights. Now, I'm going to be very honest. Ana Maria Chavez, who is the CEO, didn't say anything particularly inappropriate, offensive. The problem is she participated in an activity where that was an overarching theme. And then the organization linked the girls, saying that Anna is in great company with other esteemed women who are being profiled, like Oprah, Condoleezza Rice, and Gloria Steinem, just to name a few. And then they linked the girls directly to the website. Your own council encouraged girls to go there. Here are some of the other women, those other esteemed women that they're talking about. Sarah Weddington, who was the Roe versus Wade attorney, talking about threats today to Roe. We have Sister Teresa Kane, who challenged the Pope on women in ministries, talking about pro-life and pro-choice, and recommends that she believes that abortion should be safe to keep it rare. Legal to keep it rare and safe. Faye Walton, the former president of Planned Parenthood, talks about her own illegal abortion. And Dr. Ruth Westheimer, the sex therapist, talks about the pill. I could go on, but I won't. But you get the point. You also have a woman named Amy Richards, who talks about her choice to selectively reduce her pregnancy of triplets. And in this particular passage, she talks about the fact that at 19 she had an abortion and was surprised in her 30s to be pregnant with 3. And her first thought was, well, how can I get rid of some? And she says this on this clip and then goes through and says, at the end, what mattered was what was right for me. So not only did they tell the girls that this was going on and link them to it, they also streamed the event. There was a live screening. And so Girl Scouts promoted that and said you can watch the documentary and hear the panel discussion afterwards. And they actually provided a link where girls could stream the event. And here you see that Girl Scouts was, they were one of the hosts of this event along with Girls Inc. And you can see here that there were girls, it was in New York, and there were Girl Scouts who actually attended. And then you had Amy Richards. Because at the end of the screening, there was a panel discussion of 5 women. You had a college-age Girl Scout, a teacher, Marlo Thomas, a moderator, and you had Amy Richards. Now, Amy Richards didn't talk in this about her selective reduction, but she was identified as being the co-founder of the Third Wave Foundation. The Third Wave Foundation is the third wave of feminism, and one of their projects is to privately fund abortions, and they've privately funded over 2,000 abortions for women. The panel discussion was, the topic was feminism, and at one point they giggled and said, we wish, it's just like Gloria Steinem is here. We're talking about her so much. It's like she's sitting in the next chair. And they talked about how Gloria Steinem just couldn't stand the thought of being married. She didn't want to mate in captivity. This is the kind of event that they invited girls to attend and streamed to girls who couldn't attend. Some of the other things that the Girl Scouts encourage girls to consider. They say that girls continue to run the world. Check out these 10 teenagers who are making changes. And here is the same young lady on another list, the 13 most fearless teens of 2013. They're talking about a young lady named Tabby Gevison in her online teen magazine called Rookie Mag. And they encourage the girls, they link right to it and encourage them to look at it. Here's some of the content. Losing it, tips, warnings, and collaboration for the first time you have sex, however you define it. Maybe you think the whole concept of virginity is stupid. Who's to say you ever had one in the first place? Who's to say you lost anything when you had sex for the first time? Gosh, really? I can't read this out loud, especially Father, you're here. I can't really just. This is something suggested on Rookie Mag. And this, literally the worst thing ever, the picture book of saints. For teaching me that the best thing a woman can be is a victim, that pain is a virtue, that the highest achievement in life is death, I bestow this honor on this accursed book. I had this book, and I loved this book. And there are pictures, St. Lucy, St. Agnes. I still can picture them and their stories. They're not victims. There is life after death. But this is the message that's being promoted. And this is this girl who's being promoted to our girls. Frequently, GSUSA will link and recommend the Huffington Post. They do it on Facebook, they do it on Twitter. Here's one day where they have three or four different times in one day, go read this at the Huffington Post, go read this at the Huffington Post. They encourage relatively benign things usually, but when you go to the Huffington Post, here's some of the stuff that's there. Porn Star talks about pornography, which is not meant to be a rule book, what sexual satisfaction really means to women. Adult Film Star explains why real sex doesn't actually exist. Losing virginity stories, 11 women open up about their first time having sex. And then there's this. At the end of 2013, Girl Scouts suggested, is there anyone you'd add to this list? Incredible ladies who should be Women of the Year for 2013. And when you went to the list, there were women like Malala and Beyonce and Wendy Davis. And Wendy Davis specifically for her filibuster attempt in Texas in 2013. Now this became a big brouhaha. Girl Scouts said, we didn't recommend it. That wasn't us. You posted the list. If you have 2 million girl members. You can't simply say to them, who inspired you this year? You say you're building girls of courage, confidence, and character. You don't think that out of 2 million girls, they can't put together an articulate and intelligent and thoughtful conversation about who inspired them? Why lead the conversation with women like Wendy Davis? And was it an isolated event? Clearly not. But even the next week, they said, with courage, confidence, and character, these 7 women show us what it takes to fulfill dreams. And of the 7 women they highlighted, Kathleen Sebelius was one of them, specifically for her ferocious defense of President Obama's signature legislative achievement. I wish Father Pavone was in here right now. He might have a response to that. Did they write the article? No. I don't care. Don't link the girls to articles like this. Don't suggest these women. Because where is the counterpoint to that? It simply doesn't exist. And if you are telling me that you're not taking a position on abortion, on contraception, and human sexuality, then don't hold up Kathleen Sebelius for her ferocious defense of Obamacare. There's a couple of miscellaneous concerns and pertinent points. Here in your own local council, if girls are going to camp and they fill out their form, the camp counselors want to know if the girls who are the children who are attending camp, are they female or are they transgender? I could not find a public policy from your council, and not for lack of trying. But the thought that my daughter could go to camp and have a little boy in camp with her, with no knowledge to me or to her, I find that kind of unsettling. Cookie sales. Girl Scouts will tell you that all the money stays local. Thank you. What they're not telling you is the girls, they keep just 10 to 20% of the money from all the cookies that they sell. The bulk of it goes to your council, and we see some of the questionable things that your council is involved in. GSUSA collects a licensing fee that's attached to every box of cookies. There's 200 million cookie boxes on average that are sold. GSUSA is making approximately $5 million every year from the sale of cookies. Our latest CEO, Ana Maria Chavez, she came in at the end of 2011. She had a little piece in the Marie Claire magazine, and she spilled out her purse. It was just a cute little piece. I'm just highlighting one of the things that she mentioned there. She says, my mom and I are devout Catholics. She gave me these prayer cards that fell out of her purse. St. Michael is a protector who takes down barriers so you can accomplish what you've set your mind to. St. Teresa is an ambassador to your desires. One of these days between presentations, I'm going to go look at my saints, because I always say that's not my recollection. St. Teresa is a doctor of the church. Her message is not an ambassador to your desires. Religious awards in scouting. There are Catholic awards and there are Protestant awards, and anyone can earn them. You don't have to be a Girl Scout. You can earn them if you're not a Girl Scout or if you're an alternative. And real quick, I just want to mention, there are alternatives. For Catholics, there are the Little Flower group, and for Catholics and Christians, American Heritage Girls. They're wonderful, they're Christ-centered. They even have a Respect Life patch that can be placed on the girl's vest. Missouri Right to Life has a policy. I'm hopeful that Oregon might consider following suit. It's nice to have a tool. And if you want more information or you want to see the documentation, you can go to my website, which is mygirlscoutcouncil.com. You can see us on Twitter and Facebook. Send an email if you need additional information. And that's it. I do have handouts if anybody would like some.